Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Oceanside Siddiq. It is going to be the first Gold Mythic Siddiq. We have had a silver in the game for a very long time, actually a pretty decent silver, but the gold is going to be of Oceanside. This is where Siddiq originally came from, I believe, and also he did feature in the Telltale games, the Michonne story, from Oceanside, so it's actually kind of cool. Visually, obviously, he's by the ocean, got a lot of stuff for like hunting, fish, that sort of thing. It looks like he's got like a nice hunting like spear on his back. He's going old school. On the left hand side, you can see he's like in the water. There's a walker in the water too. You can sort of see a boat in the background, and there's two other characters there. Does anyone recognize who they potentially could be from Oceanside? I'm not 100% certain there, but if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments down below. We'll check out his stats at level 1440, LB3. He has got 30,674 attack, 19,938 defense, and 26,073 HP. He is a tough character holding that rifle. He is considered a damage roll character, Gold Mythic of course, and he is going to be joining the Alexandria Allegiance. So this is worth noting, as Alexandria Allegiance is one of the actual required allegiances for the upcoming Faction Assault update. Now first up, we'll check out his Adrenaline Rush. It is called Help Denied. It is a 66 AP cost rush. Deal 3 attacks for 200% damage each. All attacks deal 400% if the primary target is of the medic role. So if the character you select is a medic, it's going to massively boost the amount of damage this is going to do. As it's doing 3 enemies, 200%, that's going to be 3 separate attacks. This can potentially proc weapons because this isn't going to be dealing damage, it's going to be doing actual attacks. So 3rd slot and 4th slot on weapons can get a boost, and obviously 400% on that as well, potentially, just because of the fact that it is, against medics. And there are medics on, the majority of defense teams. If this guy's a damage roll character, it makes sense that you're going to be able to select a medic if you want to. Now my guess is it will just attack the primary target, and then it will just jump to 2 other random targets doing 2 separate attacks. So let's check out how this is going to work out. So we are going to attack with Siddiq here, and it is worth noting I have not got a rampage weapon in his hands right now, but he can potentially hit splash off base because of other parts of his kit, namely his specialist skill. But if you did attach a rampage weapon as well, he'd have 2 chances to do that. He'd do it from his specialist skill and the weapon, so it'll do a lot more damage potential. And we have got quite a lot of medics on this defense team, so we'll just select one of them and then we'll do the Adrenaline Rush. It's going to do 3 attacks, and it's going to hit for 400%. And you can see because I hit a crit initially, it's going to obviously proc that specialist skill. The last crit did not, and this is because it's only adjacent characters that it affects. But if he was holding a rampage weapon, it would hit these last 2 characters here and most likely do quite significant damage as well. So lots of splash potential with this character, and it obviously gets massively enhanced based on whatever weapon you want to put in Siddiq's hands. If we look at the upgrades here, you can see at grade 2, the AP cost gets reduced to 66. At grade 4, there's an upgrade where 400% damage if the target is the medic role. This is actually pretty big, but it comes in quite early, so that's nice. At limit break 1, it does get +1 attack target. So initially it is only going to be a single target Adrenaline Rush, but then it gets boosted up to 2. And then at limit break 3, it gets boosted up to 3. This is going to obviously drastically improve the damage output that Siddiq's going to be able to do if you use significant amounts of splash, because obviously that's going to just amplify every single attack. If you're only doing single target, it's only going to do a little bit of a boost, but obviously more damage is good, and he's a damage roll character. It makes sense. He's going to get the bonuses from the fact that he's a damage roll character on his passives. Each attack will get a boost that way as well. So it works very nice with this kit so far. The damage output should be pretty good, and we already see 2 ways you can amplify the damage on the rush: weapon and specialist skill. We'll check through the passives in a moment just to see if there's more. But before we do that, we'll check out the signature move, and it is called Prey Spotted. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. Remove all positive effects from the enemy in the middle slot attack an enemy for 200% damage. So this is pretty straightforward. It will do 200% damage against any character, and regardless of who you attack, it removes all positive effects from the enemy in the middle slot, which would be the leader of a defense team. So if their defense team leader has like certain buffs on them, you know, boosting them, defense buffs, something like that, they obviously can just remove everything. Now, off of turn 1, I can't, you know, think too hard on which defense leader has something crazy going off turn 1. Maybe like Wang Fa with Burn Bleed, Ezekiel with like defense down block. That's pretty much it at the moment, but this is kind of nice maybe later on in the fight when those defense buffs start coming in, heal over times, that sort of thing. So this isn't too bad. 200% isn't too bad at all. If it does crit again, just like the Adrenaline Rush, you have the chance to proc multiple splashes as well. Okay, so this time I am going to be holding a Rampage weapon just to show you what the potential is like with a double splash. Now, he won't get any damage boost like he does on his Adrenaline Rush based on the actual like roll of a character. So you can select whoever you want. Trait damage could be a good way to go. It's completely up to you. As long as we hit a crit, we should hit some splash. I'm going to actually do the central character here just because of the specialist skill. Just want to see that proc. So we'll see the signature move come in. And you can see the potential it's not too bad because we've had a double attack on it come in as well because of it's a double attack Rampage weapon. We had the Rampage proc at least once, and then we also had the collateral proc as well. So it's going to hit lots of characters. At the very least, you can remove things like Guardian Shields and stuff. I'm not a big fan of collateral, but if it's added on top of Rampage, you know, it's significantly more damage that way. So it's always nice. And you can get a character low for another character to come in and finish them off and maybe get bonuses based on their kit as well. And of course, because this character has over 30,000 base attack, you should be able to get his attack stat up reasonably high and obviously get all the good stuff, the you know, amplification from that. And all of his attacks so far can crit, which is a big benefit because obviously the weapon, specialist skill, and honestly just the damage output. If you can crit, you're going to do more damage. It's as simple as that. You can go with the crit set on the mods, amplify even further. If we look at the upgrades here, you can see at grade 3 it gets -1 to cooldown, so it goes from a 3-turn cooldown down to a 2-turn cooldown. At grade 5 it gets -1 to starting cooldown, so it goes from a turn 2 starting cooldown down to a turn 1 starting cooldown. These are obviously going to be quite easy to come by. I think at the moment you're probably looking at higher limit breaks just purely on the rush getting more powerful, but at LB2 here you are going to get the upgrade where you remove all positive effects from the enemy in the middle slot. This is kind of nice, like I say. I think it's more of the second time around. It can be nice, especially if you get character that gets like, you know, 100% defense buff or something like that. Just remove that. It removes it first too. So if they are the last character alive or the character you're selecting, you know, the actual one you want to attack, it'll remove it. Then you'll do the damage, and that's really good when in the case of actually doing damage against someone with a defense buff. So I think this signature move is just kind of okay. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a world beater like the Adrenaline Rush potential has. It's going to do a bit of damage. You're going to remove things like Guardian Shield, which is nice with the splashes, which is good. You can whittle a character down. You could potentially do significant damage against a character that is alert. I feel like you could potentially, you know, one-shot characters, you know, based on his attack stat, based on certain things proccing. If he double attacks, obviously the damage output is drastically increased. And an alert character is going to be in a lot of trouble. Bonus HP is obviously going to be the problem. So it's going to be about synergy with other characters that can remove that first or get rid of that somehow. Siddiq obviously would have to, like, it will be absorbed. His damage will be absorbed otherwise. So the positive effects, unfortunately, doesn't include bonus HP because it's based on it being a speech bubble buff above their head. So if they have things like an attack bonus for whatever reason, a defense bonus, this sort of thing, or anything that blocks anything. So if it's like defense down block, that sort of thing, all those positive effects will get removed. Same thing for like infection resist or heal over time. But if it's just bonus HP, which is just pure numbers, it's not an actual like speech bubble, it will not work there. Okay guys, as this is an advanced token character, we are going to be doing an advanced token giveaway. We're going to have 10,000 for the winner, 5,000 for 2 runners-up, and the phrase that you have to make in part of your comment is going to be Jaws. We all remember Jaws, the movie. He's in the ocean. There's a boat. There's Jaws is out there somewhere. Just make that part of your comment somehow. If you could make that like a little funny comment, that'd be cool. It will be interesting to see what you guys can do. Good luck if you enter. Now back to the video. Now we do move on to the mythic abilities. These are his passive skills, and we can see he has got agility, like I was saying. That is going to work with the adrenaline rush, and it's going to be a nice little multiplier boost there. It's also going to work with the signature move, but obviously it's just a single attack. It's not a bigger deal there. If you attack a medic, you're going to get 400%, plus the extra 20% on top, plus, weapon. It's just going to be big numbers. If we look at the next one, it's called Eyes on the Prize. When attacking the enemy in the middle slot, this character gets plus 50% attack. Now, I don't think it's going to be working as a buff. It's going to be basically working on that time you attack. So if you do the signature move on the center character, you're going to do a bit more damage than the 200%. But if you do the adrenaline rush, I don't know any medics that are leaders at the moment, so it's probably better that you don't do it on the central character on the adrenaline rush and do it on one of the side characters, just because, selecting a medic seems to be the primary way to go. The next one is called Precise Aim. Turn this character's base critical chance to 100%. This is amazing. Obviously, this is going to work with the weapon. It's going to work with his specialist skill. This can be resisted. So, for instance, if someone has the tank roll and they have crit resistance, they can potentially resist this, but he's still going to have a good base, and this means you don't have to build any crit on this character. You don't have to worry about 1535s, which is generally one of the biggest downsides of a tough character, because when you put a rampage on them, they have less chance to hit a crit. It's kind of like a double-edged sword there. Now we'll move on to the very last of the mythic abilities here, and it is called Geared Up. At the start of each turn, 100% chance this character gets Guardian Shield. So this is going to be kind of nice just to stop things like Reflect. Mainly Reflect, honestly, and mainly on that signature move. The rush will hit multiple times, so he could proc, Reflect multiple times. It's not going to work with Payback and Bide like the Vengeance Specialist, because, unless he completely one-shots them and everyone else has got Camouflage, but he isn't really a one-shot specialist. He's someone who does multi-hits. Bide it will work against, though, because Bide is just a single hit. But if someone has Bide and a Reflect mod, then one will proc and remove the Guardian Shield, and the other one will proc and obviously do damage to Siddiq. So, you have to be aware still of who you're attacking, but it will just give him a little bit of extra survivability. And also, if he does get dogpiled and there's no Reflect, it just stops one attack. This is going to reduce AP gain on a defensive team, but also, again, Siddiq's going to be alive longer because of it. Okay, so we are going to start the fight, and as you can see right at the beginning, we have got Siddiq with a Guardian Shield. He's going to get that at the beginning of every turn. The signature is going to get the boost, and like I said, I think rushes it's probably best to prioritize medics. But if there are no medics alive, this is how you can get like a smaller boost, is if you rush the leader. We'll do the signature move on the leader here, and we are going to get a 50% attack boost here, and then we also did get a guaranteed crit because of the 100% crit chance, which made the specialist skill proc. Now in this case, Rampage didn't happen, and this is because the person that we attacked was a cunning character, and they have a chance to just not have weapon effects actually take place. That includes the double attack on, Siddiq's weapon in this case, and the Rampage. So you've just got to be aware of support characters being leaders, which there are probably more support characters being leaders than medics for sure. We'll look at the upgrades here on the passives. You can see at grade 1, he gets Eyes on the Prize Part 1, and that is going to be a 20% attack boost to the middle slot character. At grade 2, he's going to get the first half of Agility, which is a 10% increase to basic attack damage. At grade 3, he gets the second half of Eyes on the Prize, making it a grand total of 50% extra attack against the central slot character. At grade 4, he's going to get the first half of Precise Aim, making it so that he has a 50% chance to get a critical attack off base. That's actually, not too bad. You're going to have to get reasonably significant crit to go above that. And then at grade 5, you can see he gets the first half of Geared Up. At the start of each turn, 50% chance this character gets a Guardian Shield. If we move on to the limit breaks, you'll see Agility 2 comes in at LB1, making it 20% total extra basic attack damage. And this is going to obviously work with his Adrenaline Rush, his signature move, and his basic attacks, which is great. At Limit Break 2, he gets the second half of Precise Aim. Turn this character's base critical hit chance to 100%. Obviously, they stack together, and he's going to have basically the off-trait weapon upgrade, which is for fast characters, but he's going to have it as a passive, and he's a tough character, which is obviously just kind of fun. And then in the last upgrade in Limit Break 3 is going to be Geared Up 2, And there's going to be an extra 50% chance that this character gets a Guardian Shield, making a 100% chance. So every turn he will get a Guardian Shield at the beginning of his own turn. Even if he gets it removed, obviously if he gets dogpiled, if there's a Reflect, he'll just get a fresh one at the beginning of the next turn, which is obviously pretty decent. I think these passives are quite nice. They make Siddiq, you know, quite a nice character for himself. He doesn't do anything for his team, but he isn't like a support character. He is a damage roll character. He needs other characters helping him do better. I kind of like that he's part of Alexandria in terms of, like, there is obviously going to be a update coming with Faction Assault, and he can fit on that team. He should be doing lots of attacks. I remember using Dwight, if you remember OG 6-star Dwight, who's the first multi-hit rush character in Faction Assault. Lots of fun. And this guy's got a 100% chance to crit. Should be quite a lot of fun to use in that game mode for sure. But I like Siddiq quite a lot here. He needs good support characters around him though. You want someone to amplify his damage, because he is basically the tip of the spear on your attack team. You need those characters that are going to make him stronger. But I think he's actually got a pretty decent kit from his passives. Now, before we move on to the weapon, we'll just touch on that specialist skill. He has got collateral damage too. When his character performs a critical attack on a target, they will deal splash damage, which is a 100% damage attack, to up to 3 adjacent targets. The adjacent targets do not gain AP from the damage. So this is obviously going to be nice. It's going to happen every time he attacks where he crits. He can get that crit resisted, as we talked about before. But otherwise, this is always going to happen. And then if he has that weapon in his hands, it's going to be kind of like double splash. Very nice indeed. And talking of the weapon, we'll just go straight on to it. He hasn't got an attached weapon. Kind of obvious. You saw him using the military shotgun that I was putting in his hands. On the left-hand side, he has a kind of cool-looking rifle here. And that would be cool to see in the game. It's got like a spear on the front by the looks of things. Or maybe like a spear gun. But it's kind of cool looking. You can just have a tough weapon in your bank, ready to go. There is a rampage weapon that you can get from the Mythic store. And that would obviously work in Siddiq's hands, which is actually kind of nice. So obviously pretty decent damage there when it comes to what Siddiq can provide. So again, he needs to do a lot of damage. He is a damage dealer. He's not really doing much else but damage. So you want to make sure he's doing as much damage as possible. It's as simple as that. So this was Gold Mythic Oceanside Siddiq. And as I said, he is going to be a character going to the Advanced Will, I believe. Stay tuned for more information on that. But I think he's a pretty decent tough character from the Advanced Will. Seems pretty good. But like I said, I think he's going to be very useful in Alexandria. It's an allegiance that doesn't have huge amounts of like more recent characters. And maybe they did need a little bit of a boost. But potentially, in my mind, maybe the other ones needed a little bit of a boost first. But it's always going to be good for Alexandria in this case. I think he is a good character for sure. Do tell me your thoughts, though, on Oceanside Siddiq in the comments down below. That is the end of my video, guys. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.